Hi learners, is glad to see you in Krishna's space. Today is a day 91 of our 300 days DSA journey. So it's time for our today's problem. Let's understand it. So today's problem is merge sorted array. Here we have given two integers nums1 and nums2 which are already sorted in non-decreasing order. And they have given two integers m and n which are representing the number of elements in nums1 and nums2 respectively. So basically we just have to merge nums1 and nums2 into a single array which we have to sort in non-decreasing order. And also they have said that the final sorted array should not be returned by the function but instead be stored inside the array called nums1. And for this, they have given the length of nums1 as m plus 1, in which m is denoting the elements which are in nums1 and n is denoting the elements which are in nums2. So now let's understand it more better with the help of examples. So as we can see in the example 1, they have given nums1 and nums2 array and the value of m and n are 3. And in the output they have written nums1 in which nums2 has been added and they are sorted in non-decreasing order. And same in example 2 as well, they have given nums1 and nums2 and the value of m is 1 and the value of n is 0, and that means nums1 has only one element and nums2 has no element. So in the output you can see they have written nums1. Same in example 3, this time nums2 has one element while nums1 has 0 element, and in the output you can see in nums1 we have one element only. So now let's understand how I have solved this problem. So to solve this problem, I have created three variables which are denoting the last element of nums1, nums2 and the last index of nums1. So as you can see in my code, I have created n1, n2 and I, in which n1 is denoting the last element of nums1, n2 is denoting the last element of nums2 and I is denoting the last index of nums1. And after that I have done a loop in which the condition is n2 should be greater than or equal to 0. That means when we will traverse the whole nums2, we will going to come out from this loop. And inside the loop, we are finding out whose elements is greatest, nums2 or nums1. Let's say if nums2 element is greatest, then we are going to put it into the last index of nums1. And then we are going to decrement our I and n2. But if nums1's last element will be greatest, then we are going to put it into the last index of nums1. And then again we are going to decrement I and n1. And also I have put a condition in which n1 can be less than 0, which means it can be negative, which is basically denoting the possibility that nums1 index can goes in negative. So now let's take the example 1 to understand this problem more better. So in n1 and n2 we are going to have the value 2 because they have given the value of m and n as 3. And for I we are going to have the value 5. And then we will get inside the loop and going to check whose element is greatest, nums2 or nums1. And as we can see, nums2 of n2 which is 6 is greater than nums1 of n1 which is 3. So that means we are going to put 6 at the index of 5. After that we are going to decrement the value of I, which will become 4 now, and the value of n2 will become 1. And then we will move forward, and in the next run we are going to check whose elements is greatest. And as we can see, at nums2 we have 5 and at nums1 we have 3. So we know 5 is greater than 3. That means we are going to put 5 at 4th index. And then we are going to decrement I and n2, in which I will become 3 and n2 will become 0. And then we will move forward, and in the next run again we are going to check whose element is greatest. And as we can see now, at nums2 we have 2 and at nums1 we have 3. And we know 3 is greater than 2, that means we will get into the else block. And now we are going to put 3 at 3rd index and then going to decrement I and n1. So now my I will become 2 and my n1 will become 1. And in the next run again we will check if nums2 element is greater than nums1 element or not. And as we can see, at nums2 we have 2 and at nums1 we have 2. But as we have put the greater sign here and 2 is not greater than 2, so that means we will get into the else block, and now we are going to put 2 at second position and then going to decrement our I and n1. So now my I will become 1 and n1 will become 0. And in the next run again we will compare nums2 element and nums1 element, and now as we can see 2 is greater than 1. So we are going to put 2 at first index and then going to decrement I and n2. So now I will become 0 and n2 will become -1. And then we will move forward, but as n2 has become -1, so we will come out from this loop and then going to return nums1 in which the elements are 1, 2, 2, 3, 5 and 6. So that's how I have solved this problem. If you guys have any other solution of it, do write it on comment, and thank you so much for watching this video and staying with me.